Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into another Beers and Bullshit. My name is Cole. Thank you guys for joining me here today. Starting off, we're going to be having my good buddy Ty Brown in. Ty's a Jeep salesman here in Rapid City. If you ever know him as Ty the Jeep Guy. Also has a channel on YouTube, Judith the Jeep. Probably one of my favorite channels. I actually huge fan of off-roading here in the Black Hills. Never got to do much in the Jeeps myself, more UTV. But we'll definitely dive into that with Ty. So just want to say thanks for joining me, Ty.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course, buddy, of course. And the beverage we are sipping on tonight, as it is always a custom on Beers and Bullshit, is going to be the 12.5's Rebel Hard Coffee. Just to start, this is a coffee that has alcohol into it. It's extremely dangerous at its 5% because I don't taste any alcohol in this whatsoever. How about you, Ty?
I don't taste anything in it. Actually, I'm kind of curious why we're drinking coffee at 6 o'clock. I got to go to bed by 8.
I know it has beer in here, and, well...
Yeah.
Good luck with that, motherfucker. So, yeah. Anyways, the Rebel Hard Coffee is from the 12.5's Brewing Company. It's going to be in Neenah, Wisconsin. If I'm butchering that, sorry. Make a town that has a simpler spelling next time. But yeah, essentially it started off with a couple of artisanal coffee brewers just making coffee. And then one day, apparently someone slipped a little bit of Bailey's in there and was just like, well, hey, we should do this for a living. So once again, that's going to be 12.5's Rebel Hard Coffee. We're going to go ahead and shout out Boyd's Liquor Store and wine, spirits, beer, everything on 8th Street. Pretty much if you want anything that's outside the box, anything that's outside your normal Bud Light, Mick Ultra, Budweiser, your regular just run-of-the-mill boring beers, go ahead and check out Boyd's on 8th Street. As well, another sponsor I want to shout out here, good friend of the podcast, Teddy's Sports Bar and Grill downtown. So it's a fantastic place if you guys want to get some drinks, especially cheap. Get your boogie down on, maybe shoot some pool, and just have a good time. That's going to be Teddy's Sports Bar and Grill in downtown Rapid City. And final appreciation, we're going to show out to Top Wave Studios, always, Mr. Paul Wolf. Thank you so much for doing everything that you do.
Always.
Appreciate you, big dog. So, just a little bit of a backstory here on our guest of the evening, Ty Brown. I met Ty when I started working for Liberty Superstores at the Jeep store. Shortly sat next to him, probably within the first month or two. And we've pretty much gotten to spend this whole pandemic together.
Yeah, it's been a trip.
As you're soon to hear, there's been a lot of ups and downs in both of our lives that we've kind of just really just sat next to each other for and ended up becoming one of my better friends. And right away when I started doing this podcast, when I was bringing together the list of just friends of mine I wanted to have on here, Ty, you definitely topped the list.
Cool.
Just because of the stories we've kind of gone through and everything. And I know you're a little quiet right now. I'm going to kick it on off, though, Ty. Born in Illinois. Let's go ahead and hear a little bit about you.
Yeah, so Illinois, from a small farm town called Philo. Whenever I was growing up, it was like 800 to 1,000 people, somewhere in there. The school system we went to was made up of 5 towns. Unit 7 schools. Is definitely, pretty normal. And where I'm from, like to put in perspective, as we'll kind of talk a little later, why I appreciate the hills so much. Where I'm from, it's flat. Like it's so flat that if you look hard enough, you can almost see the curvature of the earth. So coming from somewhere like that to out here, it's been a huge change. Growing up in a small town, like everything was a square mile. So, we were in high school, like I'm sure my mom doesn't want to hear this, but, came to booze cruising. We just put it in low gear and let the Blazer idle out in the middle of nowhere. We could see the headlights for miles and we just cruise all night and hang out. So it was kind of like the stuff that we went ahead and did. We didn't get to go cruise out in the hills and find a cool spot to party. It was just out idling around town and idling out in the middle of nowhere. So,
well, I'm sure my mom's not going to want to hear this, but yeah, the hills gave ample cover in high school and shorter after years when you had to kind of hide your drinking because it's a lot easier when you can do it in a bar and everything like that. it's when you're 18, 19 years old, 17 years old from the Midwest, middle of America times where there's a lot of cornfields and hills everywhere. You find one sober driver, you find one person to buy you beer, and you just go for it.
Oh yeah,
yeah. It's just so it's hilarious because you guys had the advantage of obviously being able to see everybody.
Oh yeah, we could see everything, everybody down to who was parking on the side of the road at night too. We recognized the cars out there.
See, I got the fast reflexes because we'd be going through some hills. Going out in, Nemo Road area or, a little bit south on, Highway 79. And then all of a sudden out of nowhere, you'd see some lights. You're like, oh shit, is that a cop? So like you put your beer down real fast. And then we are not endorsing drinking and driving or having
No,
alcohol in
no,
vehicles
not at
by
all.
any sort. This is just some of the mistakes that kids make
Oh yeah.
when you grow up with nothing to do.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, there's one kid, it was a notorious story, kind of in the fall, had a bonfire and passed out in the cornfield and woke up and he had frostbite on his toes. And, that's again just the stuff we grew up with, not having much to do. I mean, it was just sit around the campfire or bonfire and drink and kind of bullshit, just like we're doing right now. So
Exactly. And I got to say, that's one thing I love about the Midwest because it feels like the older we grow up, the more like technology becomes a thing. Thank God none of the stupid shit I did. I mean, Facebook was just coming around when I was in middle school and high school, but thank God none of the stupid shit I did ended up online just because it seems more prevalent today and more possible that it
Oh,
can
yeah.
happen today. And
that's actually a friend of mine that's in 90% of the stories that I've got. We just had that conversation last night. He's doing really well in life, and he just recently had to go through and purge his Facebook because, we do a lot of goofy things and we posted a lot of goofy and kind of not so appropriate nowadays things. Like it happens, it happens to everybody. And we just had a pretty good conversation about all that last night. So times have definitely changed. I'm just glad not more of it was out there. So
thank God we didn't grow up in the PC culture. All I know is even probably anybody getting their hands on this podcast will probably get fucking shot just for having an opinion. But no, I mean, it was kind of nice, growing up in those simpler times.
Yeah. And word travels quick in small towns, and even like it said, it was 5 towns that made it up. There's Tolono, Philo, Sydney, Pasodum, and Sodorus. And the high school I went to was like 500 people. So it was small. My graduating class was like 103, 104, something like that. So, everybody knows everybody. And even nowadays, like a lot of people stay at, in that kind of general area and they all still kind of hang out in the same cliques and stuff. So it's been really appreciative of the opportunities I've had to get to travel and get to see some stuff. So.
Oh yeah, and we'll dig into that to a second. But you kind of already brought it up, so I'm just going to go ahead and dig right into this one.
Let's get this Band-Aid done.
In high school, you know everybody you go to high school with, right?
Essentially, yeah.
Essentially. So, there is a glorious lady in the adult film industry now named Carolina Sweets.
Oh yeah,
and believe you used to go to high school with her.
Yeah,
correct?
yeah. She was two classes or 2 grades behind me. And growing up, like there's no hate on anybody whatsoever, especially people's career choices. Do what makes you money and do what makes you happy.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, not dogging at all.
Yeah.
They make a lot more money than I do, so you you, boo-boo.
Oh, yeah. But, like, I remember in high school, there's always that crowd where you're just like, you know what, I probably shouldn't hang around them too much. You got that kind of, common sense going on. And I remember she was one of those girls. She was really cute in high school. I had a little crush on her and I always wondered, like, wonder what she looks like. And now I don't have to wonder.
You don't have to wonder a damn thing.
No, not a damn thing. So
name definitely redacted and not even brought up in the first place, just because we do respect privacy of any of those with stage names.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the adult entertainment industry, hard industry to get into, not pun intended there. But we do respect, like Ty said, all professions and all forms. And with that, we'll actually kind of move on because obviously leaving Illinois here and kind of adventuring on, what was your next stop after leaving your hometown?
So growing up, I always wanted to be a chef, and it kind of came, honestly, it was one of those things that just kind of like clicked. It wasn't something that was pushed. It wasn't like, you got to find a career that you want to do. Just like, I remember right around the age where your parents start trusting you to stay at home by yourself. I was watching Food Network, and I was like, oh, I want to try and cook something. And I'm like digging through our fridge, and I found this sausage, just like brat sausage. And I like chopped up an apple and onions and I put it in this pan and then I put the brat in there. And you couldn't taste the apple or sausage whatsoever. Like it was just a normal brat, but I was like playing around with it. And, I worked at a couple restaurants. I worked at a breakfast restaurant, was a busser, then a dish boy, and then like a prep cook. And ended up working at a couple more restaurants at home. One of them in particular, V Picasso. It is now, I think it's called Hank's Table now, but that was like a farm to table restaurant. And that guy, like really the chef, Chef Adam, he just really drove it home. Like, this is what I want to do. I was like, I want to be a chef. And so I ended up taking my senior year, our kind of like culinary occupations class, and to everybody in there, it was a joke, but to me, it was something I tried to take serious. And I always remember like I'd spent all this time like costing out a menu, and we were going to be catering like school events and stuff. And I got outvoted, and like I said, I spent all this time on this menu. Like I was like, we're going to be getting our bread from Jimmy John's, and like it'll save us all this money. And everybody voted to do Oreo balls every fucking Friday. And that my beautiful menu with homemade honey mustard and Jimmy John's bread lost to fucking Oreo balls.
What a bunch of bastards.
Yeah, but I ended up getting a scholarship from that class, and I went to Le Cordon Bleu, St. Louis. I was there roughly about a year. Got to work at a couple places, or stage, I should say, which is just a fancy term for slave labor. I worked there for free for a while. The Anheuser-Busch family had a country club that I worked at.
I believe they call that internship.
Yeah, internship. So I did that for a while, and I finally had found my niche, like what I was really good at, and I really enjoyed doing it. I got caught up in like all the typical line cook stuff, and so I ended up
I was about to say emphasis on the line.
So yeah, typical line cook stuff. And so I ended up Disney came out to interview, and I got on the list to interview with Chef Polly Malati from Orlando Disney. And so they sit me down in this room, and he's in there and with his assistant, and they've got playing cards, and each one has an ingredient on it. And you pull your cards, and then he gives you a couple seconds to look at them, and you're supposed to come up with a first course, or so like your appetizer, salad, your entree, and your dessert course off of these cards.
So it's like Iron Chef, but
an interview.
Does Mickey Mouse judge this competition?
Oh, essentially, Chef Polly Malati is just sitting there staring at you the whole time. You're thinking, and so I had to come up with my dish on the fly. And the only thing I remember was I pulled hominy, which is a grain, but I had never worked with it, never heard of it before. So I straight up, I did my best. I knew it was a grain and put it in a salad and all this. And he had said there was a couple, you have to tell them how you're going to prepare each ingredient, how it's all going to come together at the end and everything for each dish. So it was a stressful interview, but I got the job. About a week later, I got my contract in the mail. I was supposed to go work at the Flying Fish down in down in Orlando, Florida. And so I signed it. And I was like, holy shit, I'm going to go work for Disney. Well, I'd say almost 5 days before I was supposed to go to Disney, this guy, Terry Vanderwall, worked for WR Hospitality, was a recruiter for Custer State Park Resorts. Came out, and he's pitching this spiel, right, about waking up in the middle of nowhere, and there's buffalo at your front door, and you get out and explore the Mount Rushmore State. And I'm like, this sounds awesome. So I applied there. And they were also paying more, and the living scenario sounded a little bit more fun. So I ended up taking that job. I abandoned Disney.
Fuck the mouse.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm still on a no hire list.
Dude, that's going to kill you when Disney takes over the world one day. You're just going to walk in.
I'm going to be on a list, man.
You thought you could escape me, didn't you?
Yeah. But to this day, I think I got hired as a fluke down there. Because there's a guy in the class behind me named Tyrone, and my name's Ty. And all my paperwork, it had Ty, but in all the emails I got from the chef, they said Tyrone. And when I got there, my name on the schedule was Tyrone. And the sous chef looked at me very funny when I introduced myself. Yeah, I'm Ty. And he straight up said, I thought you were black. And so I'm like, I think to this day, and I kept that to I was like, I'm not going to say a thing because I wanted this job. So I was like, no, my name's Ty. So half of me thinks to this day I was hired as a fluke. I just ended up there, but I ended up having a pretty solid career there. And that's what brought me out here, was coming out to work for Custer State Park. And that's kind of where everything tumbled and changed and drove me into the direction where I'm at now. Because I got to experience a lot of different things while in the park, and it opened my eyes pretty heavily.
And that's crazy. I mean, because to realize just in a short time frame, I mean, there's a lot of people who, don't get me wrong, they go off to college and, maybe move back home or move to another place. I mean, it's kind of crazy to think that you went out to St. Louis. And let me also backtrack a little bit here.
Yeah.
One detail you kind of left out was he lived in these sketchiest neighborhood in St. Louis. Ty found out like what it was like just to hang out on the front porch and just hang out with motherfuckers, and he didn't realize for like what 2-3 months. He's like, I think
Yeah.
everybody I'm hanging out with is gangbangers.
Yeah.
Like this little white boy from
Middle of nowhere.
blink and you miss it, Illinois. Goes to
Yeah.
downtown, St. Louis, Missouri.
Yeah. Well, and then I ended up living in St. Charles with my roommate Zach, and oh man, I can't believe I forgot to talk about James. So this guy, and I'll name drop him, James Fannin. If you hear this, man, reach out and let me know like you're still alive or something, because I haven't heard from this guy in forever. He man, this guy. So we're going to school. We're first semester of culinary school, and he's a real big guy. Big, kind of intimidating guy, and he comes up and he was straight up honest with us, like, hey, I'm just out of prison, I'm trying to turn my life around, and I need somewhere to crash for a couple days. So we let him crash, and 6 months later he's still on our couch. And this guy also learned a lot of life lessons. Like, one thing that I learned from my dad is you can learn something from everybody, but also wasn't my most shining moment of being responsible, because we were just like, yeah, you can crash on our couch, whatever. And we've got some really good stories. He tried to pay us back one day by cooking us dinner, and we went to go get him groceries, and he tried to steal all the groceries. And so he came out, and the manager's trying to get him, and the police showed up. It was a whole fiasco. But yeah, going through St. Louis and ending up here, and it definitely, like I said, with Custer State Park, I don't think a lot of people here realize how diverse the people that work there are. Americans are almost outnumbered 2-1 when it comes to people from Jamaica, Mexico, Ukraine, Poland.
I'm surprised Poland made it to number 5.
Yeah, I probably should have said that.
Yeah, I'm surprised Poland made it to number 5. What's up, Kosh?
Yeah,
And we'll get to that in a second. But no, and that is crazy. Is being a local and being from here and having family who did work in the park and around Keystone, Hill City. And if you're not from the area, these are going to be like the surrounding towns around Mount Rushmore, south of Rapid City, and kind of the tourist hotspot at the Black Hills. But what happens is South Dakota, and weather pundit coming up here, it's very hot and cold. And by that, I mean, during the wintertime, obviously, business slows down. Everything kind of slows down a lot more. You're not going to see a lot of, just flourishing business, restaurants on waits, so on and so forth. Obviously, us all being in the car industry kind of feel that. But on the flip side, we have Mount Rushmore out here. We have Crazy Horse. We have the Badlands. So tourism is huge in western South Dakota. So during the summertime, they bring out and they contract these workers from not even just around America, but from around
all
the
over
world.
the world.
And just because they're, staying in the park, I think it's kind of centralized a little bit more down there as far as where you guys probably hung out. But yeah, people don't realize how diverse the South Dakota crowd becomes in that summertime.
Oh yeah. Yep. And like I said, my first year out here really opened my eyes to that. We had people again from Mexico, Jamaica, Ukraine, South Africa, actually, a really, really good friend of mine, Angel. We met that year. And I obviously I've still got friends that I hang out with to this day. I just went and got breakfast with some friends that ended up staying out here, Ashley. So, really good crowd. We were working together, we were living together, we were partying together. So we all got very close very quick, especially we were 30 minutes from Custer. So we're kind of out there on our own. We'd go hang out at the Flying J out in Hermosa a lot. That is kind of the only place we could go that was not the park. So it was definitely different.
Well, yeah, and when you're in that small community and you only have a handful of places to go because, well, let's be honest, most of you guys work at the other places. And so when they kind of close down, it's where do you go from there?
Mm-hmm.
And so you have a really, tight, close-knit community. So when you enter here, we'll kind of start at the beginning. When you enter, you come to Custer State Park. Where was the first place you worked?
So I worked at the State Game Lodge. I was there for 2 years. My first season, I came there. I was pretty much garmage or salads. I had I was building experience, but I wasn't confident in my skills yet. I knew I had skills, but I really had to fine tune them. So I was really nervous. I was intimidated. The chef Keller, he was a great chef, but definitely an intimidating guy. To this day, every time I see him, I'm still like, yes, chef, no chef. But so I was there. Made again some great friends. That's where I discovered what station I like being on. Saute, which is kind of really fast paced. It's all your quick order things. Your pastas, some of your like meats and whatnot that you would get, ossobuco, all that fun stuff. And then there's grill, which that's the one thing I'm like, that's kind of like a hurry up and wait station. You get everything up there on the grill. You just got to stay organized. I'm not a super organized person. So.
Well, yeah, exactly. Because I've had to jump back into the kitchen before on a Friday, Saturday night as a server. And yeah, it's really fun to go from, okay, well, these steaks all have 6 minutes left, but you're looking at them, you're like, hey, what do they actually need to get? And these steaks have 10 minutes left. And like, these are medium. It's like, it's such a complex.
It's perfect timing and communication, especially when it comes to grill and saute. Saute, like I can bang out some of those orders in like 2-3 minutes, whereas grill, like they're gonna need 5 to 8 to 10 minutes on something. So it's all about like, hey, this steak's got 2 minutes left, go ahead and fire this pasta. And it's really about being able to communicate, like being on the same page with your line cooks, like your team. I mean, it's cool, especially when it starts getting busy and you guys are like in the shits trying to just dig out one table at a time, get those orders out. It's an adrenaline rush that I miss. It was a lot of fun.
So from the other perspective, not so much something I miss. Ty being a chef, I'm going to go ahead and bring the opposite perspective of the culinary industry in this. I was a server and a bartender for years. Yeah, the shits are not fun because serving is hurry up and wait.
Yeah, serving is difficult.
It is a completely different skill set. I think everybody has to be in tune and adept in their own skill sets in the restaurant. I don't think there's a position that is more important than the other.
No, not at all. Except the dishwasher. The dishwasher, 100%. Most important person in the kitchen.
Also most shit on too.
Yeah, most shit on
you're most underpaid.
Yep,
you're most
underappreciated. Yep.
Ask any restaurant manager how a Friday or Saturday night goes without a dishwasher.
It's horrible.
Yeah. He'll probably have a mental breakdown just thinking about it.
So shout out to all the dishwashers out there. Just know that everybody in that kitchen appreciates you, even though they don't fucking say it. They should.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I always try to, tip out the dishwashers or at least, show them props, hook them up in some way, shape, or form, just because as a server, when you're on the other end of everything, it's crazy because I feel like in the kitchen, it's all about, communication and timing. Serving is just about accuracy.
Yeah.
It's about not fucking up. And obviously you have to have communication and timing in serving. And you have to have accuracy in the kitchen, but I think the importances are kind of flip-flopped because as a server, if you mess up on an order, the kitchen has your ass. All right, yeah. There's
the kitchen's gonna be mad. The table's gonna be mad. You have to blame the kitchen. It's the kitchen's fault.
Exactly. Yeah. Customer sees the cook, having a cigarette out back. They get into a fist fight. You got to bail somebody out. Wait, just me? Okay, never mind. Moving on here. But it's crazy from that, end of the restaurant.
Yeah.
I mean, just people don't realize behind the scenes. So when you're sitting in a restaurant, and it's a Friday, Saturday night, and you're just like, well, I just ordered pasta. It should only take 15, 20 minutes.
Look at what the rest of your table ordered, too.
Yeah, just remember grandma ordered a well-done steak because she's a fucking communist. And belongs in a home if she orders a well-done steak.
Yeah.
No regrets. But yeah, just look around and kind of realize the environment around you. And also during these times, during the pandemic, I'm going to encourage everybody to tip 20+%. Even if your server sucks, they still got a job at the end of the day. And there's always someone less fortunate than you. So just be kind. Don't be an asshole.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The big thing, just be understandable, especially like with this week being, what was it? The rodeo? Rodeo is in
Black
town?
Hills Stock Show and Rodeo and Yeehaw.
Yeah,
of 2021.
Oh yeah, the restaurants have been busy. I can only imagine what Longhorn was like this week.
Well, and the reason I bring that up too is y'all know they probably averaged about 12% in tips with all the Cowboys in town. So,
ooh.
I'll throw that shot out there as someone who served in this town for a handful of years. The Cowboy community is fantastic at a handful of things: raising families, hard work, dedication. Tipping is not one of those things. Guys, you guys are the backbone of America. I love the ranchers and farmers and all the cowboys in the area. Learn how to fucking tip. All right, that's my only thing. Everybody has their shortcomings and everything they can improve on. Yep. And you as a community, I'm going to standardize and just say tip better.
But yeah, but within Custer State Park, State Game Lodge is definitely the flagship. I was there 2 years. Second year, I kind of started taking more responsibility. I mean, I had this one little segment. It was usually like 20, 25 people. It's called Talk Tours. I had a blast. I got to cook their dinner in front of them, and like it's really chill. People would come up, have drink or like glasses of wine, tip you, and then you just put out the dinner. It's like really relaxed. Like Keller, he'd be up at or Chef Keller, he'd be up at the game lodge running dinner service or whatever buses were coming through, and he trusted me enough to get my stuff done. Go down there, and when I first started, he'd come down, check on me, make sure everything went smooth. After that, he let me do it, and that's where I got a lot of my confidence, and especially with the line, working at night, being on Saute, he trusted the crew we had put together to be able to go home and not feel like he has to be there 24/7, because he knew we were all doing our best and we're doing everything we can to represent him in a green, like a well lit light. So, it was really cool. The second year, that's also to me the most important year. That's the year I met Kasha. We met an employee party. She worked up at Sylvan, and I still have the picture on my phone from like the night we met. I had a really good friend, Carl, who he likes to document everything. He took pictures of everything. And so we were at this employee party, and there's dancing, and they've got like volleyball and games and stuff, but her and her roommate were off playing volleyball kind of away from everybody else. And I'm not certain what made me go over there, but next thing you know, we're having a conversation. And after that, we were just attached at the hip the whole rest of the night. And I almost blew it. So this is the part of the night I don't think I've told you. So
I'm ready for it, because I feel like, because you said that, and I'm just like, okay, I forgot this part. I feel like you might have told me, but at the same time, maybe I'll just find out for the first time, just like everybody else in this podcast. So.
She still gives me crap for this.
As she probably should.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So we're, the night is coming to the end. I work at 5 a.m, and it is like midnight, right? And all of my friends are still there, but her and I are still kind of like off, away talking, and like it's coming to the point where it's like saying goodnight, and it was nice meeting you, all this, and I walked away. I didn't ask for a phone number. I didn't nothing. Just was like, it was really nice meeting you. I had a great night, and wandered off. And I get back to my friends, and they're just like, "So did you get her number?" I'm like, "No, was I supposed to?" And they're like, "Ty, what?" I'm like, "What?" And they're like, "She's into you." I was like, "Well, I'm into her, but I didn't think I'd have a chance." Like, "No, you gotta go get her number." So there I am, like racing around trying to find her. And I finally find her, and she gives me her number. And then she went to go give me a kiss, and I bailed and kissed her on the cheek because I got nervous. So but that sparked our summer. After that, we were hanging out every chance we got. I was driving from Game Lodge to Sylvan every chance I could to pick her up. We'd go on dates all the time, and it was awesome. It turned into this. Well, I mean, we're engaged now, so it just turned into this huge story of actually meeting. So it wasn't through an app. It wasn't through someone that I've known forever. We met, and things just clicked, and it's just wild to me that it's evolved to where it's at. And even with COVID and everything that's gone on in the world, we still talk every day. We were able to talk through all of our feelings. And, at first I wasn't one of those people that believes in finding someone that you are meant for and can just emotionally attach. I'm not saying everything's perfect. We have our arguments and stuff, but who doesn't? And the fact that we can have these arguments and move past them and come out stronger, even being, we haven't gotten to see each other in 1 year and 4 months now because of everything going on, and we're waiting for our visa, and we still have been just coming out of this stronger than we were. And sometimes I got to take a step back and remember how we met and how far we've come to where we are today. So didn't mean to go off on a tangent.
No,
talking about working in
you're
kitchens,
good.
But...
You're good. To be honest, that's actually where I wanted to kind of go. So Ty just summarized it all up. We're gonna go back and break it on down. So here's where it is. Ty and Kash met in the in Custer State Park. Now, what is her actual full name?
Katarzyna Kempes. Which, so we do here sometimes Tyler's, and then there's Ty, which I'm just Ty. I'm not Tyler, but
you're not a douchebag.
Yeah. So
just kidding. Shout out to the Tylers out there. Fuck.
But yeah, so we call her Kat, or Kasha is short for Katarzyna, and I'm sure I'm mispronouncing it, but Polish is a really hard language. I've been trying my best to learn, and it's so hard.
So she's from Poland.
Yep.
Obviously, you guys were together for a handful of years being here. Yeah. And actually, crazy enough, about the same time I started at Liberty over at the Jeep store, you guys ended up getting engaged, and then she flew home. So actually, let's back up to that. Take us through the engagement, and then obviously right after her having to leave the United States and why that was.
Yeah, so we decided, like all relationships, especially when it comes to this, she would get to come here for about 4 to 5 months at a time. And then she was here on a J1 visa. She was coming here to work. She's a student. She's going to school for touristic management. If I'm not mistaken, I might be wrong. So if you're listening to this, please don't freak out, Kasha.
He loves you.
Yeah, I love you very much. But so she was going to school, coming here to work, and she'd go back during the off season to finish up school, and she'd cram an entire year's worth of school in like 8 months, sometimes even shorter than that. And so then she would come back and work, and that's kind of, it's easier to come here and make money. You get to see the States. A lot of companies pay to bring people over here, so it's a great work and travel visa. And so we've been doing that off and on. God, like she's been going there, coming back for 5-6 years now almost. And I just finally was like, you know what? I want to be with her. And the only way that I'm going to be able to be with her, to keep her here forever, is if we get married. And I had a really big talk kind of with myself, like, are you ready to get married? And I was like, yeah, hell yeah, I am. And so right before her visa was about to end, we went out to the Bighorns of Wyoming, and I proposed out on the Twin Lost Lakes Trail. That was a whole nother story. Got stared down and, false charged by a moose. I was a little baby about it, and she saved the day. And but it was great. I definitely made it memorable. I know that much. And then when we got back, essentially, we immediately had to start. Well, yeah, we had to immediately start paperwork. So she had to fly back home to Poland because the visa was up. Even though we were engaged, we had to apply for what was called a K-1 visa, which I am sure everybody knows the show 90 Day Fiancé. So we had to go through the process. I got all the paperwork filled out. They want to know everything. They wanted to know, I had to go get paperwork from the Sturgis County Courthouse. I had to submit the money that I make. I had to submit what my Jeeps are worth. Like, I had to do all of that and turn over to show, like, hey, I can support this human being that I'm trying to bring to the United States. Because when she gets here, she's not allowed to work until we can get a work visa, which the time frame, I believe, is after 2 months we can apply for a work visa. So they're just wanting to make sure that if she can't work until we get her green card, which takes up to 2 years, that I can provide. They're making sure that we're going to be productive parts of society and that we do love each other. The relationship's legitimate. And we've got plenty of pictures. We've been on so many trips to Alaska. I've been to Poland and met her parents. And so that process, it's tough and it takes a lot of time. What we originally thought was going to be about 6 to 8 months has turned into a year and 4 months. And we were ready for that wait. And at this point, we're kind of going crazy.
Well, and yeah, because I'll even offer my own perspective from this, because I've seen Ty pretty much throughout this entire process. Because like I said, I started at Liberty. We weren't good friends at the time. But she probably left either right before or right after I started.
Yeah.
And so, kind of fast forward to us working and sitting next to each other and just kind of talking, to him having to submit all of this stuff and all of these things. And, like you said, about a 3 to 6 month process. And then you shoot to, it's taking a little bit longer. I believe before COVID, it was also a big thing to not bringing politics into this. So whatever you listen to, fuck your opinion. Yeah. But seriously, though, with Donald Trump's immigration ban and kind of everything he was doing to stop people coming into America, even before COVID was coming out, that is what affected you ultimately.
Once the impeachment trial and the proceedings kind of started, they passed this proclamation. Pretty much they pushed through the Senate and everything a bill that was like, hey, we shouldn't be giving out visas right now. We're really delicate as a country, and we shouldn't be just handing out visas right now. And ever since then, it's just been getting extended and extended and extended. So we're hoping that come this spring,
because her visa is still sitting there at the U.S. Embassy.
Oh yeah. So we still have an interview. So essentially, to pick up the visa, she goes there and interviews, and they ask her questions and just make sure, like, hey, this is who it is, and this is legitimate. Here's your visa. So all the paperwork is over there. Now we just gotta wait for the interview. So that's honestly, can be stressful, but I think we're gonna slam dunk it and we're gonna be fine.
Oh yeah, I have no doubt you guys are gonna be fine. I've personally seen from my aspects. I mean, God, there's how many times I think you or I, or probably both of us at the same time, we're having a bad day and we're just like, let's go for a walk on the lot.
Oh yeah.
And then Ty would just unload. He's just like,
there was one day in particular, I remember that I just usually I try to keep my composure, but man, there was one day I just unloaded. I was done. I was like, what the heck is going on? This is BS. Needs to hurry up. But yeah. So that's been a whole process. And again, looking back from this small town kid in Philo, Illinois, putting together Legos and RC cars, comes all the way out here, finds the love of my life, finds a hobby that something I can be extremely passionate about, and somehow went from cooking to trying to sell Jeeps. So it's been a real wild ride.
That is a crazy ride because obviously you kind of bounced around, worked in Custer State Park for a
Yeah.
couple of years. Take us through how you made that transition from being this kind of mercenary chef who just, works for these different places and then,
Yeah.
has a couple, makes a bunch of money during 6 months of the year
Yep.
and then has 6 months off. I mean,
Going
how do you turn
out.
into a car salesman out of that?
Yeah. So I ended up my first year, I worked in Custer State Park at the game lodge. And then I got this job in Steamboat Springs, Colorado. And that was a whole escapade. That's where I learned that it's cool to go to the party house, but it sucks to live at the party house. I hated that. But, it was an awesome place. It was a really cool job. It was all the way at the top of this like 13,000-foot mountain at a restaurant called Hazy's. And I remember I was too nervous to tell them I couldn't ski or snowboard, so I'd walk down the mountain at night. Just all the lights on. I'd just walk down the mountain. I'd bring my snow boots and walk all the way down because they turned everything off by the time we were off work. So I just walked down. So that was a process. I learned a lot there. But from Game Lodge, I got the job as a sous chef up at Sylvan Lake, and the head chef was the guy that I kind of got to build my career next to, Aaron Ellman, and he was a great friend, a great boss. He was really understanding. He was really good at what he did. And I feel like we made a fucking killer team. We did a great job at what we were doing. We had our hiccups when we first started. Obviously, we're still pretty green at this point. They just put us up there and cut us loose, that's what you expect when you hire a chef and a sous chef. We had our flops. We had the Forest Service dinner up there, like our first big event. We flopped pretty hard. But thank God, Chef Keller, he gave us a second chance. We were able to turn it around. Towards the end of that, it's seasonal. It's seasonal work. So the season's coming up to an end, and there was this job beetle marking in the hills, and specifically Custer State Park. And all you do, the job description is love to hike. This is the job for you. And we'd hike like 13 to 14 miles a day in the middle of nowhere, Custer State Park, and stare at trees. And we were just looking for these pitch tubes that these bugs would make and kill the tree. Part of that job was we had this big red, like early 90s square body Suburban, and we get to drive on the fire roads with that. And at that point I had my yellow Jeep, and I was like starting to realize like, hey, there's a lot of places to go in this thing. And so I'm getting a bomb around in this like big old Chevy Suburban to like creek crossings in Custer State Park. And I'm like, this is a lot of freaking fun. And I'm starting to get into it. And that's kind of where that whole, like, I'd always dreamt of having a Jeep and going out and exploring. But like, that's where it clicked. I was like, I'm somewhere that I can go explore. I have a Jeep. I was like, let's get started. Let's go see what's out there. I remember just all the adventures from when my Jeep was like bone stock to what it is now. And there is so many fun stories getting out, kind of learning. I learned a lot like by myself and YouTube. Obviously everybody can learn anything off of YouTube anymore. So that's what sparked it all. And I came back from my last year at Sylvan, and it all comes full circle. I got to, usually I didn't do weddings, and I take this, I'm not a big fate guy. Oh, it's fate. I'm not a big fate guy, but I was given this wedding to do, and it was one of my first weddings of the season. And it's for, oh gosh, I can't remember the bride's name, but I'm getting everything prepped, and we go down there, and the wedding's going on, and the general manager comes in of the resort, and he goes, hey, the father of the groom is a really big Jeep guy, and he wants to meet you. And it turns out he told the story of Kasha was mad that I had a bunch of tires in our room for my Jeep, and he told the father of the groom this story. So I go out, and little do I know it's Don Patno. And we get to talking, and he invited me to a Jeep Jamboree. And so obviously I said yes, and I was really excited. We got to talk here and there a little bit, and I ended up taking like a month and a half long road trip through the mountains and all that, Utah, Colorado, out of the back of my Jeep, rock crawling. Came back and ran this Jamboree, and kind of got to meet the guy and learn what he was about. And then about a year later, one day I was like, I got to give something else a shot. I was kind of burnt out with kitchens and wanted something that would allow me to have time off to go out and play with the Jeep and explore. And I got to go come on down. I applied, and next thing you know, I'm detailing cars at Liberty Superstores at the Jeep store, and it just all unfolds from there. So
Heck yeah. And we'll kind of dive into that a little bit here. Do want to pause and give a second endorsement out, just because
Yeah.
we are going to be talking about Jeeps quite a bit. And Ty, I had you on here as one of my friends, a good friend of mine. Probably one of my best ones here in Rapid.
Sure,
But
I feel that.
a huge inspiration for doing this podcast is I've seen you do your channel. Judith the Jeep. So we're going to shout that out one more time here on YouTube. Judith the Jeep. Ty just kind of goes out there. He takes, cameras, gets a bunch of different angles. You, your buddy Mitch, Denver, Black Hills Jeeps, which you are the vice president of. So shout out Black Hills Jeeps. So, shout out to Judith the Jeep and all the Jeep organizations here in the Black Hills. Appreciate you guys, and thanks for keeping things clean.
Never made it. S10 Blazer never made it. Only Jeep Cherokee is the triple award-winning 4x4.
Experience it for yourself.
Get in.
Only Cherokee gives you a choice of 2 or 4 doors. Only Cherokee has room for 5 and more cargo space than Bronco or Blazer. And with Cherokee's 2.5-liter power plant, you can get a sunroof at no extra cost.
Now you can have all this.
Only in a Jeep.
So that's where we're going to kind of go into a little bit more from here, though, is Ty and I's career together at Liberty Jeep. 1 year and it's counting, maybe cut short by my actions as an individual. Moving over to the Hyundai store. But
I was going to say, you're still there. You just
still with Liberty. Still have the Pat Nose just across the street looking at you from those big glass windows.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes it's like that scene from SpongeBob. SpongeBob come home and like Mr. Krabs comes out as like the ghost singing, and SpongeBob comes out of the chum bucket.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what it's like.
Yep. And I do miss working with you, man. And we're just going to show love to the Jeep store here. A shout out to the OG managers, Mike Berry and John Anthony. Love you guys. As well, former employee John Biggers, I got a shout out.
Oh, yeah.
Good. Work friend and, kind of someone we, just talked and bullshitted with and made work a lot of fun for a good amount of time that we were there. But also, Bill Cordis, who I'm going to go ahead and throw the impersonation on the, well, there he is. This is Bill Cordis, Liberty Superstores.
God.
Right. God, I still love Bill to this day. That is my work dad. Joe Sparagon, Toby Madsen, Rick Elsasser, Donnie Branham, Corey Elsasser. God, who else am I thinking of? Tristan too.
Yeah, dude.
Shout out to fucking Tristan. Dude, he's killing it right now.
Yeah, he is killing it
with the woodworking business. It's Art by Tristan, right?
Yep, yeah.
Yeah, go out and follow Art by Tristan on Facebook. Yeah. This man is magic with just drawing sneakers. He's gotten into woodworking too. I mean, just an absolutely, just hugely talented human being. It's kind of sad to see that the creative side of him was kind of harshed by the car sales, but he got out and it seems like he's
thriving.
Yeah. Love him. Tristan Dolphus. Shout out to Art by Tristan and the entire Dolphus family. Hope you guys are doing good, bud.
Yeah, just kind of piggyback on that. He does a lot of custom logos and everything too. Just any work he can get done. I mean, he does a really good job of it. So
because he actually did the Judith the Jeep logo for your YouTube.
Yep. It's just like a weird, like I kind of do that whole 80s synth thing, and he definitely knocked it out of the park. Actually, I think he did some work for Buckstorm too. Another YouTube channel all about hunting here. So he's done a lot of work for them too. So awesome guy. If there's anybody looking forward to get something designed and kind of drawn up, it's him to hit up. So
once again, it's Art by Tristan. Also, Buckstorm, good YouTube channel, hunting, based with Jeremy Meyer and Travis Thiel, manager and salesman over at Liberty Dodge, a couple of coworkers of ours. Solid guys. Really, honestly, probably the most humble, down to earth gentlemen you'll probably meet in this town. But they have a fantastic hunting YouTube channel as well. So go ahead and jump on and check that out. That's going to be Buckstorm. But yeah, I mean, the company we work for is awesome. You work with so many cool people what are some of your better stories from your time as a car
Oh
salesman?
man. There's a couple good ones. I'll always remember this when I first started. God, this was within my first month. A woman who was in her, not so much in her prime anymore, older age, came into the store and said she needed help pairing her phone to her Chrysler 300. I was like, oh, nice, a softball question. I can do this. And I get out there and she pulls from her purse her home phone. And so I was very confused. And at first I thought one of the guys inside the store had set me up. And so I'm like trying to explain, like at first I actually tried to figure out where the Bluetooth setting was because I wasn't just going to turn her away. And so I was trying to figure out where it was. And then I was like, ma'am, this is your home phone. She goes, well, the salesman told me I can pair my phone. And I was like, yeah, like your cell phone, anything with Bluetooth. Well, this is wireless. And it was like a wireless phone. And I was like, no, unfortunately, this won't work. And she was very disgruntled that her salesman had told her she could pair her phone to this car, but it was her home phone she was trying to pair. So that was probably it's a memory I'll always remember just because I seriously thought I was being set up, and unfortunately, she was serious the whole time.
The only thing that would have made that better is if that motherfucker wasn't wireless and she brought in the phone, the receiver, and then just like this extension cord that like runs like off the parking lot. Like, yeah, I live 3 miles across town, and can you pair this phone to my car? Like my best phone story is I had a gentleman who had Cricket Wireless, and he had a flip phone with Cricket Wireless or Jitterbug.
Yeah,
that's what it was, the old person phone company, and this really old phone. And so I'm selling him the card. I'm like, yeah, as long as it's Bluetooth capable, you should be able to, make calls, stream Spotify if it's capable, whatever. And I need to really use this phrase, if it's capable, more often. I'm pretty sure I used it then, but I definitely use it now. Because we get to the end, and I'm like, all right, sir, if you would pull out your phone. And he pulls out this like Nokia S2500. I mean, don't get me wrong, things probably better as a weapon than it is as a cellular device. Probably break my face in half. Nokia phone, strong as hell. But yeah, and we're trying to pair this up, and we pair it up to Bluetooth just fine. But because it's older technology, it doesn't transfer the contacts over. And obviously, there's no way in hell this gentleman has Spotify on this phone. Oh, and he was enraged. Like, I swindled him out of this Jeep, and I'm a snake oil salesman, which I only sell snake oil on Sundays, Monday through Saturday. I'm a car salesman. So, but that's so funny. That's the amount of phone things. About. Yeah.
That is something that salesmen get such a bad rap.
Sometimes. Oh, 100%.
Rap. Yeah. Yeah. It's not like the 80s anymore where everybody's out to get you. Like, we know that we're competing with Denver at times. We know that it's a large market and you can go anywhere. And that in general, we do want to see people happy when they leave. We don't want to be taking advantage of anybody. Like, again, it's, people, we get such a hard rap anymore. So that is something that I've quickly learned in the car sale industry.
Oh, 100%. I mean, switching over, because I thought hospitality and sales would be very similar. No, you take the rap for everything in sales. And that is one thing, people don't realize. It's like on the most selfish level, I don't want to sell you a piece of crap because I don't want to have to hear back from you again. Now, I want to help everybody out. That's not the reason that I sell cars. I genuinely actually give a shit about my customers, and I hope that they're, buying good vehicles and everything. But like I said, even on my worst day, where I am the worst person ever, the worst version of myself I can be, I still want to sell you a great car. Yeah. Why? Because I don't want to have to hear back from you in 6 months, because you're not going to yell at the mechanic. Well, you're not going to yell at the rock that flew up into your radiator and caused a leak. You're going to yell at me because I sold you the car, whether it was my fault or not. So at the end of the day, there are going to be those lying snake oil salesmen of car salesmen. Unfortunately, those people happen. But I feel like in an overall basis, the industry is so
just changed entirely.
And poorly judged. Entirely. I mean, social media alone has made it almost impossible to screw somebody over without them really reaching out. And once again, this is not justification for it. I wouldn't just do it on a moral level.
Yeah.
But I'm speaking to the scum of the earth, the villainy, the hive of wretchedness that society has. Still wouldn't do it out of just fear of just having to just deal with it later.
The backlash. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So
it's definitely, it's car sales in general, especially going into the Jeep store. It's something that I've gotten to be passionate about, and times like now with COVID and everything, I've noticed people are coming in, wanting to get out and explore. And a really big popular question and popular theme I've seen is people comparing, well, we're looking at getting a UTV, but we saw the price point of UTVs and figured it's really close to a Jeep, and we might as well just look into a Jeep. And so that has been a super common theme I've seen lately at Liberty. And I've got to be honest, that is where I thrive. When people come in and they want to get one to go off road, it's it's not the everyday case. We get folks that are looking for the Pacifica for their growing family, and that's something where I'm trying to improve upon myself and become a better salesman in that aspect. But
I still call them shaggin' wagons, so you're probably better off than I am at selling minivans.
Yeah, but I'm getting there. That's kind of my weak point, because I can't talk about the 10.9 inches of ground clearance and such, and the all-terrain tires and the lockers that are going to get you 4 feet farther and 4 feet deeper, they say. But that's been something that I've been kind of learning, and all through being able to work at Liberty, it's been a huge eye-opening experience, and it's gotten me involved with the community too, which is, when I say that, I guess I mean more towards the off-road community as well. So,
well, I wouldn't even say just more so involved, because I believe, once again, I mentioned earlier, you're vice president of Black Hills Jeep.
Yeah.
So I'd say you're slightly involved.
Yeah.
Slightly. You're dipping your toes in the water. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting there. Like, I haven't been there long. Obviously I've got good intentions, but it's just trying to get myself to carry through with them. It can be difficult because, the club is made up of multiple generations, and it's trying to understand all sides. Obviously they have a lot more experience than I do, so I'm trying to listen and learn what I can. Something that I learned very quickly, and it was actually something Steve Berg told me, a very, very popular Jeeper out here, or I guess I should say a big figure in the Jeep community, as well as the legends like Steve Jones, Mark Chillstrom, Jason Pauly. Those guys are some absolute legends in the community out here. But he had said that it's your generation's time to be pulling the winch cable and spotting the Jeeps. And that I realized, like, yeah, it is like my generation's turn to be pulling the winch cable and spotting Jeeps through. And so I've been trying to learn everything I can from them. And that's kind of got me to where I am with the Black Hills Jeeps, and getting the knowledge to get out there. And when people come in looking for a Jeep, that's kind of, again, where I get really excited. We're like, oh yeah, we plan to go out and run trails, and we want to get out and explore. And that is exactly where I'm like, I'm glad I get to be a part of this experience and the start of your adventure. Because I'm not saying just Jeeps, but any 4-wheel drive, if you have that little bit of adventure where you want to go out and see what's over that ridge, and you want a vehicle to carry you there, I'm happy to be a part of that experience. So,
and see, that's fantastic. And you're so passionate about selling Jeeps, and that's what I love about it, because I sit here on the opposite flip side. Like, yes, I'm very passionate about the DVDs and the Bluetooth headrest displays on the back of these driver and passenger seats in the all new Chrysler Pacifica minivan. I love gaming. My brothers and I used to game in long road trips growing up. You too can have a PlayStation 4 plugged in this vehicle. I learned the home style because growing up, I was just never much of a car person. And I showing love to all my family here, my dad, uncle, brothers. I mean, everybody is just such a huge car person on that side of the family. It just never piqued my interest.
yeah.
I felt like I went into the other, quote unquote male stereotype. I was a huge sports fan, as anybody can probably guess from the first episode being a Super Bowl preview.
Yeah, Aaron Hernandez, one of my favorite players.
Jesus Christ. He doesn't mean that. He just learned who Aaron Hernandez was the other day. He's testing this out. Please don't cancel us.
Testing the waters.
Oh my God. But no, just like growing up, like not knowing cars or anything, going into the car industry, I didn't do it for the longest time because I'm like, listen, where I'm at in my car knowledge is I know how to check the oil, and I know that red goes to red and black goes to black.
And that's all you need to know.
And you've actually been one person that's been so instrumental in kind of helping me out and breaking it down and really doing the car basics for dummies. Just because, I mean, I was never really taught much or, cared to learn much on the other aspect of it. So it's awesome to see somebody kind of really passionate about what they do, because at the end of the day, yeah, you can look at what you're doing and it's just selling cars, but the fact that you can sit here and, build these Jeeps with these people, and I've even seen you take out multiple different customers.
Oh, yeah.
Out into the hills. Like I ask you, hey, what are you doing tomorrow? Let's go have a beer. Oh, sorry. No, I'm taking the guys I just sold 15 minutes ago out onto a trail. And I'm just like, oh, dude, sweet. Hell yeah. And then I, see it on the YouTube channel later. So it's just kind of awesome that, the community does have someone who's willing to introduce That, but also still keep a lot of the old traditions around, because I know in the club, one thing obviously apart from the actual act of jeeping, it's one thing you guys and a lot of the older generation has been extremely keen and focused on is keeping the Black Hills safe and clean for the rest of
Yeah,
us.
yeah, and one thing that is a really common theme, and I think everybody can agree with this, is you wouldn't show someone your favorite fishing spot because next week you go there, there's two people that normally aren't there. And the next day or the next week, there's four people that's not normally out there, and it blows up. And so it's at this point in my eyes, it's trying to make sure that the hills are going to be out there for people to explore. Like the next, again, the generation after us, our kids, our grandkids. I want to make sure that's an outlet for them to be able to get out there, because something growing up not having something like this in my backyard has made me appreciate again what we have on a whole nother level. And obviously this year was really tough on the hills. A lot of garbage, a lot of just trails got ran hard, and so it made me really want to be the change that I guess I wanted to see. And I believe that it all starts with you. If you want to see change, be that change. And if you can inspire one other person to do that, that's one other person that they might outreach to someone else, and it's just a snowball effect. It keeps going,
And
and it
pay
all
it forward.
yeah, oh yeah, pay it forward and things such as that. But it all starts at getting that one person in the hobby, that person that came in and we were comparing UTVs to Wranglers, and we decided to get a Wrangler, and it all starts right there. And a lot of the things that I get to work with day to day. So
Of course. And so let's just go over kind of that comparison. Like when you were talking to a customer, not to, but to deliberately shit on the UTV community, what are some of the pros? And if you want to mention the cons to level the playing field, that's fine. But what are some of the pros and cons of Wrangler purchase to UTV purchase?
yeah, so really the biggest pros are going to be it's a vehicle you can take on a road trip. You don't need a truck and trailer to load it up and go check out Moab, or go out to Colorado, or just go anywhere. You can literally load up your gear and go and drive that rig down to where you want to go. And some people do, trailer it, but like I took a road trip that was 5,000 miles in my Jeep, and I wheeled it hard, and I did have breakdowns. And I guess by the skin of my teeth, got back to roads and was able to get it fixed. And I think that's what makes the experience, is getting to road trip this rig, go out and wheel it really hard. And you take this vehicle that you build, whether it's through your hard work of being able to afford it, and learning the knowledge to build it, or having someone build it for you, or you building it or buying it. It all comes down to the hard work you've put in it to be able to start this hobby and getting out to explore. And it's an awesome feeling. And UTVs, you can do that as well. The biggest, really, the only pro I see with UTVs is here in the Black Hills, there is more UTV trails than there is Jeep trails. All in all, when it comes to difficult rock crawling in the hills, there's probably maybe 20 miles worth of trails to go rock crawling. And UTVs, I mean, there's hundreds. You can get out and explore hundreds of miles of UTV trail here. Whereas like dedicated Jeep trails, there's only about 20. So that is where UTVs are going to shine, is they're going to have a little bit more room to play. But still, there's so much you can get out and do in a Jeep. I'm sorry, this is blasphemy, but a 4Runner or a Tacoma, anything with four-wheel drive and four-wheel drive low, you've got opportunity at your back door.
So are you saying, God forbid, I get a Jeep Renegade Trailhawk and I soup that fucker up, I can hit it?
Oh, hell yeah. We'll take you out, and we'll make sure that we're being as safe as possible, getting you through. When you get out and explore the trails and the hills, you are like, there is a chance that damage is going to happen, whether it be body damage or you're going to break down. Like there is that chance, and that's the risk you take going out in the hills. But as soon as you kind of like understand that that's a risk, and you can get out and have a ton of fun. And keep in mind, like these clubs, we do want to make sure you get home in one piece and nothing happens. But there is that liability. There is something that could happen, but still, it's an awesome hobby to be able to get out and enjoy, even if it is a Jeep Renegade. It's lifted on like some 30s.
Oh God, I just remember when Donnie kept talking shit about always just doing that, and then he goes out and gets a Cadillac.
I wanted him to lift it so
Donnie.
bad.
I hope you hear this. We were waiting on the Renegade Trailhawk, and you let us down.
I was so ready. I was like, I had a nice little trail planned out for him and everything. I was ready. Like, this is what your Renegade can do, more than the Cadillac. But
way more than the Cadillac.
But he enjoys the Cadillac, so I can't like entirely shit on him for that. So
that's my job to shit on Donnie. That's how I show him love. I love you, number 4.
Oh, he's not gonna like that.
Oh, I call him. He laughs at it every time.
Right.
So obviously, kind of the love and the passion you have for Jeeps is definitely something that you've kind of grown with. I mean, you started
Yeah.
with it. You always wanted a Jeep.
Yeah.
Now take us through. You got your Jeep, and it has been with you the entire
God,
time.
yeah.
Let's talk about Judith.
Yeah, so I will preface this story with back when I was younger, I didn't realize this until a couple days ago, or I shouldn't say like a couple months ago. So one started off obviously with the Power Wheels Jeep Wrangler, and that's where it's all started. Dreaming of having an off road vehicle, and then I remember at a young age when we had first moved into Philo, we got a bunch of snow, and my dad. I think we had a Jeep Grand Cherokee, which eventually it did burn down, but that's a whole nother story. We used to go out with one of our friends from the town, and my dad and me, and then his friend and his son. They would take turns seeing who could drive through the snow-covered fields farther until they get stuck, and then pulling each other out and just do that all night. And I remember having an absolute blast. At times, I was absolutely terrified because I didn't know what was going on. But that led into that. And so I bought Judith. It's a 2000 Jeep Cherokee. It's a 4-door. It's the XJ. It's kind of that iconic square body style that you see everywhere. 90% of the time, it's just absolutely rusted out. But I picked it up. It was really clean. It's bright yellow. It had 77,000 miles. And at first I got it as just I wasn't going to touch it. But that's when gears started turning. I was like, I've got a Jeep. Like, I've got a 4-wheel drive. I can do stuff with this. So put a little 2-inch lift, some 30-inch tires, and a winch. And I explored a whole bunch while I was stock. And then after that, I went a whole bunch of other places and just explored. I mean, the hills had so many new trails for me to go see. And eventually just one thing would break and I'd upgrade it. One thing I'd damage and I'd upgrade it. Or there's a good deal on this stuff. I'll put all that on. And now it's on 4.5 inches of lift, mid arms. It's locked in the rear, 410 gears, all the armor. I'm getting ready to put a 4.6 liter stroker in it. So it's pretty far from stock at this point. And it does have some trail damage. It's got the South Dakota pinstriping. It's got some dents, some dings. It's got some hail. It's definitely a South Dakota Jeep at this point. So
be careful about them South Dakota pinstripes.
Yeah, that stuff will jump out and get you.
Yeah, well, apparently even mentioning it sometimes it's down for almost getting fired, Ty?
Yeah. It's, and that's a whole nother story. I can see where that comes about, because that the whole, getting out and exploring, I think that is, again, you can do it in anything from like a Renegade to a built Cherokee to a Wrangler. The options are unlimited. And I think one of the coolest feelings was, again, taking this vehicle that I bought bone stock, got to build myself. Well, no, I can't say myself. I've had a lot of people that have helped me, from my buddy George, my friend Seth, Denver, my friend Colton Custer. Like, I've had so many people that have reached out, helped me, and taught me how to do certain things. So it's been awesome to get to take this vehicle. I can go wheel and go explore the hills, Colorado, Utah. I got a lot of memories in that thing. So.
And that was kind of one reason I really wanted you on here, is this not even just bullshitting with a friend, but just someone who has just been so well traveled. And I mean, the adventures you've taken, I just remember times, and I kick myself in this because I wish I'd do this more often. I did it a lot when I was younger, but just, we get off work on a Saturday night. What are you going to go do? Well, I'm going to go to karaoke with some friends, and I don't know, have a couple of beers, and then we'll watch some football tomorrow. Yeah. Ty, what are you going to go do? I'm going to go camp in the hills. What are you going to do? I'm just going to build a fire. I got a skillet.
Yeah.
Camp in the back of my Jeep.
You go catch some trout and do some fly fishing. And yeah.
You are seriously a modern woodsman, and I love every part of it.
I'm trying. It's something that I found I really enjoy. So it's in our backyard. So.
Well, and I mean, it's awesome because I feel like there's so many people who do appreciate South Dakota for what it is.
Oh, yeah.
And, the actual worth of it. It's nice to see someone come from the outside and really appreciate it, and also draw people in, because where I'm going to kind of go from here is, God, what is it? Almost even a year ago now, you actually ended up bringing a friend out from Illinois who had him travel out here, enjoy the area, and then ended up moving him out here. So let's go ahead and dive into Mitch a little bit. Shout out Mitch. Love you, buddy.
Yeah. Mitch is, so obviously there's, back home, I've got some very close people. There's George, there's Two-Wheel Drive Caleb, and there's Caleb with a K, and then there's Mitch. And the first three, George, Caleb, and Caleb, they have been like huge figures, and like making sure, I don't think they knew they were doing this, but it was just like, we were really close friends. And I think all three of them gave me some form of a tool to navigate and figure things out without like just getting completely crushed in life. Obviously my parents did too, but like it's different when you learn some things from your peers. And then there's Mitch has been, those three guys, they're not the most emotional people in the world. You don't go and share how you're feeling with those guys. They're very strong. George and I finally are on that like level where we can talk feelings, but Mitch has always been the guy that we can talk feelings and like understand what's going on and get things off our chest that's bothering us. There's just like always been this really toxic way men have to be and just bottle everything up and never talk about it and just explode. And it feels really good to get things off of your chest. And so Mitch and I have been friends for a long time. Our friendship kind of grew a lot when I moved away. We stayed in touch really well, and he came out to visit, and we had a lot of escapades the first time. He came out a second time in the summer, and we had a lot more escapades. And I was just like, you should move out here. There's no reason not to. And, it'd be a big step for you. It'd be a big leap forward. And after some convincing, at first I didn't think he was going to do it, but holy shit, he's been here for a couple months now, and he's got a decent job set up. He's got his own place, and we got some really good stories together now. And just getting out, I've been showing him how to go out and explore the hills and everything, and try and give him that space to learn on his own as well. So,
and I love Mitch because he's just
like my little brother.
He's this big teddy bear. And I feel that too because I'm a bigger guy who just is very expressive, very personable. I like to express myself, and once again, kind of touching on the whole toxic masculinity thing. It's frowned upon not to be that way, and so sometimes when you're that way, people look at you weird. But Mitch is just probably one of the greatest guys you'll meet. Just straight up and honest dude.
Oh yeah.
Love him to death, but he's also one of the smartest guys you'll ever meet too. I'm pretty sure one of the only guys I know who can build a computer.
Yeah. So he always plays it like really down. I'm like,
100%
this out. And he's like, oh, it's really easy. And he goes in depth and like, Mitch, I have no idea the stuff you're doing right now. And so he is extremely smart in the things that he enjoys to do. But that's everybody. Everybody should have that hobby and that passion that they're really good at, because it gives you this sense of pride at the end of the day. Like, I did that, or like, I know that. You get out and you enjoy these things, you do these things. And he does a really good job of that. So with specifically like computers and everything, I think that's a really big hobby and passion that I really think you should capitalize on. So
100%. I mean, I'd never stop talking. So I figured, maybe I'll get someone smarter than myself, like Paul, to just record me while I talk, and then he can do all the work, and then everybody can congratulate me on my podcast.
Yeah, I was gonna say it might be tough. We might be talking for a while. Get you and I together. We talk for a hot minute.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a second. But no, I mean, it's just it's great when someone can kind of find that creative niche, because you need to exploit that sense of yourself and that like deep down feeling, because everybody's got that passion, whether they want to admit it or not. I think last time on the podcast, I talked with Paul about it with music. Obviously, we've talked to lengths about it. You have multiple, I think, with Jeeps, the outdoors, and cooking as well.
Yeah.
With Mitch, it's kind of one thing I'd love to see him go into, because I know he's working with auto parts, and something he is awesome at. Like I said, very, very intelligent, analytically driven guy.
Yeah.
But man, just if you were to go into something technologically, sky's the limit.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I agree. I think you do really well at that. But again, sometimes in life, you got to take those steps. It's one step at a time. And even the tiniest step, that's a huge step to the large plan. Like right now, with the things I'm doing with the club, they're bricks in the path I'm trying to pave. And again, like small things, taking those one step, laying that one brick at a time. It's not going to be something that you wake up the next day and it's done. But after a couple of years, you're going to turn around and you're going to see this brick road you've paved on your way to the goals that you're trying to set. And so I think that's something that I'm hoping he's picking up on.
Well, I mean, I've already seen the bricklaying process. I mean,
oh yeah.
Ever since that day you called me up in the middle of the afternoon and was like, "Hey, can you help me move my buddy? And he's got some heavier stuff, and you and him might be a little bit better tuned to carry some of this up." Or and I, or and so yeah, just to see that. But I mean, just to kind of count down some of the things I've seen from the outside looking in. I mean, Mitch moves out here in a Ford Ranger and a U-Haul. Love the apartment you got him, buddy, but probably in a scarier side of town.
So you know what? It's like right on the edge.
Mitch from the Midwest. Tell him, I'm like, buy a gun, man. God, you got to buy a gun first. But so he moves out here, Ford Ranger, U-Haul, and a handful of months later, promoted at work. I mean, he's doing fantastically.
He's killing it.
The guy is doing amazing. And then on top of that, let's bring up the fact that he brought, a 2001 Grand Cherokee that he affectionately adopts the Black Hills and called Tatanka.
Yeah, yep. He was looking for names, and all of a sudden we were just talking back and forth. It was like, yeah, buffalo. He's like, what's the word for buffalo? And Lakota, I'm like, Tatanka. And he's like, oh, that's what I'm going to name it. And he's so hyped. And he's like, he's got this sticker he wants to put on the Jeep. I was like, I don't know. I'm like back and forth on it because I'm like, that's like culture appropriation, man. Like that's like we're in a very PC world right now.
Fuck PC.
Yeah, you
Do
know
it.
what? Mitch is such a
Do
sweet
it.
guy. I couldn't imagine if someone
all
got
respect to
mad
the
at him.
Lakota and the Native American
Yes,
culture.
100%.
100%. I think that's a community that has been exploited and obviously, fucked with enough. But I mean, respect to that. Yeah, he could put Tatanka on the back of his
So
car.
I do want to point out one thing that did catch me off guard coming here, and this I'm sure is controversial. Illinois, it's the history we're learned. The history we're taught is completely different from the history when you get out here. I have, with Kasha being gone and it being the winter now, and when I go camping, I read a lot. And I do go through a lot of books. And there's a couple books that I've been reading, such as the Lakota Way. And there's another one, the story of like Crazy Horse. And just reading about all the horrible things that have happened. It's something that does not get taught in history whatsoever.
Anywhere.
It is unfortunate. And I'm happy to see people are starting to recognize that and acknowledge like this is a piece of history that we're trying to glance over and forget. And it's getting brought up to, a lot of places and a lot of people. I think it's something that coming here and getting to see all the history. There's a Jeep trail I like going checking out. You can see where a lot of communities were way back in the 1800s and farther. And it's really cool to see that history, especially here. You can see that history all over the hills, and it teaches a whole new appreciation. And that's something that I think trying to get Mitch to go out and explore and find more of too.
Oh, and that's the crazy part. Just to not touch too long onto this, but to backtrack a little bit. But I mean, the lack of the cultural, knowledge that people kind of get, in the world. Because when I moved to Las Vegas, that was one thing. They're like, Native Americans, you mean those people who live down in Arizona? Like, because they obviously have the Navajo tribe down in Arizona. And tribes are all different across the United States. And I think that's the beautiful thing about the culture. But the dark side of it is no one ever actually really talks about I'm just going to say the genocide of a certain type of people here in America. I mean, Wounded Knee is not known by probably 85-90% of the general students in America. I mean, you're talking an absolute massacre. I was taught it as a battle, that it was instigated by the other side. And you're taught that Custer's last stand was this valiant, U.S. Army commander, going down to his last breath, when all it was an ignorant silver spoon war baby, going against every source of logic and getting exactly his due comeuppance. And so, like, whatever you want your opinion on this, I think that's something
story
that
for
needs to
time.
be. It needs to be taught a lot more. It needs to be taught a lot more, and I'll dive into controversial topics.
Yeah, it's definitely a controversial topic, that is for sure, especially out here, because I know a lot of people are proud of the history, because a lot of the history for a lot of people starts at the gold rush here. And anything before that really doesn't pique a lot of interest. And I'm a little guilty of that. A lot of the history I go out and find is like the old mines and stuff, abandoned towns and settlements. And like, I got to keep in mind, like these homestakes and everything, these were here before they were technically supposed to be here. They were breaking a treaty being here. And so a lot of that history you find is out there that is really cool to go find and see. But at the same time, it's something that I try and keep in mind. It's a very controversial history out here, but I'm starting to see people acknowledge it more, and it's awesome to see that. I think that is a step in the right direction. We can't just say it didn't happen. We need to not acknowledge those things, and acknowledge at the time, like both sides, one side thought they were doing the right thing and honoring their country, claiming land, while the other side was trying to defend their families and their livelihood and really just the prosperity of the hills. I remember there's a movie, what is it? Dances with Wolves. They'll come as the stars, and as many as there are stars in the sky, and seeing the hills is a very sacred place, and getting out and camping and seeing these beautiful night skies on a cold like fall night and seeing shooting stars. I went out and tried to chase the Aurora Borealis one night. And while I could very hardly see it, you could still see it as low as South Dakota. And getting to see those things and just be out there and listen to the outdoors, it makes you realize why it was so important to to the Lakota and many other generations of Native Americans moving through this area. And it's something that I think we need to take better care of.
100%. I mean, growing up in the area, I will definitely say, whether you want to call it, I would personally say there's a magic to the Black Hills.
Yes.
There's a spirit, there's a personality, whatever you want to say. There's a magic to living in the Black Hills area, both good and bad, because growing up, I've seen and probably felt some of the most exhilarating and beautiful experiences. The sunsets out here are fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Just like you said, kind of the vibes and the energy that you get from the Black Hills is going to be second to none. But I've also seen the turn side of that.
Yeah.
To where also this area has been affected and afflicted by a lot of different things people sometimes can't explain. And it's just kind of crazy to go back and to see in that culture the respect that the Black Hills got and how this was, you know, a holy land almost in some certain cultures. You don't really get that until you actually get out in the hills and see it and feel it for yourself.
Yeah. Yep. And I didn't mean to get us so far off topic.
Oh, you're good.
But yeah, and again, I'll try my best to table that for another discussion because I could go off all evening just talking about the hills, and really anywhere, the outdoors in general. So just taking more appreciation. I think it's where we need to get back to, and it's something that helps ground us back to realize. This is another controversial statement, but we do come from the earth. I mean, we're children of the earth. We are the product of millions and millions of years of evolution and work, and it's something that we need to appreciate and take care of. It's Mother Nature. She's provided everything we've needed for us, and to this day, Mother Nature provides everything we need, from the lithium that we're putting in batteries to the lumber mills that are out in the hills currently and the logging. I mean, provides everything, and it's something that we need to start taking care of and finding alternative. Well, we'll leave that controversial.
Alternative fuels. Say it. Say it with your chest. Say it with your chest.
Yeah.
Also, this is not inflictive of any sort of recent pipeline closures and all of the people affected.
That actually, there's
prayers out for you and everything.
Story.
It is. There is two sides.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to play it because we're in South Dakota, very conservative Republican area. God forbid you ever share anything liberal.
I can see both sides of it.
Oh, 100%.
I seriously
100%.
can see both sides.
I joke and I play light just because it's such tense times right now in 2020 and 2021. It's just like, God.
And it's like, it's difficult to like talk about these things because like, obviously we work with the public heavily and people's views vary person to person. And I want like anybody to understand that like, when it comes to your views, that's the beautiful thing about who we are is we can all share a different view, but it doesn't need to change your opinion of certain, like who you are, who that person is. You know, we share all of this. We share the hills. We share this whole planet. It's something I think we need to get along and understand. People are going to disagree. And some people are going to think they know better. Some people aren't. But in the end, I can still sell you a Jeep.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I'll sell you a fucking vehicle, whether you're Democrat, Republican, Mormon.
Yeah, and
whatever,
I'll talk about just about anything.
The only thing I won't sell is a fucking Dallas Cowboys fan. So, just kidding. I'll even sell the Cowboys fans. No, but I mean, you kind of bring up a really serious topic. I mean, in a time where America is really divided, it's even better to kind of find those common grounds. And I feel like we look at too much what divides us, rather than what connects us. I mean, even here in the hills, you can have someone from every single race, religion, background, political party, Hogwarts house, whatever divides you at the end of the day. I mean, there's beautiful things that can kind of be brought together by the hills.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think it's a hobby that spans across many different languages. So, I figured I'd try and keep it like softball and whatnot and try not to dive into too many controversial things. My first time on the podcast.
Fastball.
Yeah,
I'm talking Kurt Schilling, 98 miles an hour down the middle. We're not going to go Randy Johnson, none of that fastball.
Yeah.
I'm talking sports.
I'm
no
trying
idea.
to be I have no clue. I'm like trying to be reserved. I'm like, I just want to make sure I can come back.
Oh, you'll always be back. You'll always be back. I mean, and like I said, I just hope, for future generations that the hills can be kept safe. And this is not just some sort of like, Greenpeace movement.
Yeah.
But, when you are out and about, if you could tell the people who are harming the hills, three things to change. Let's not even start with the laundry list. 3 things that they can change in their everyday behavior that will help the hills. What are 3 things that they could do?
All right. So my biggest thing, pack out what you pack in. If you see something that's out there that you didn't bring, pack it out with you. I've got a big old trash, like a made for it trash bin on the back of my Jeep that I just toss other people's trash in. I'll take 10 minutes out of my time when I'm on the trail, I see an area that's filled with trash, I'll pack out everything I can. Another big thing is just respect the trails. If you get into a harder trail, go down the obstacle. Don't go around it. You're just going to make the trail wider, and you're actually doing more harm than you are. Same with like mud puddles. You want to go down the middle as slow as possible, but as fast as necessary. And that's a whole nother video we can do talking about, or video podcast we can do talking about all this stuff. I feel like I'm on Judith the Jeep right now.
This is another video we'll talk about.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the third one, I definitely say just respect everybody out there. Everybody's out there for the same reason you are, to get out and enjoy what's in our backyard. And so don't go out and be like, people. It's 5 minutes of your day, and everybody's out there for the same reason, and that's to enjoy the outdoors. So there's no reason for anybody to be upset of seeing people out there, because it's going to happen, especially with everything going on in the world. People are finding adventure in the outdoors because there's really nothing else to do. You can't go to the bars. So people are going out. Well, South Dakota, you can go to the
in
bars.
the other 49 states in the nation, you can't go to the bars. In South Dakota.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's like kind of my point is there's been a huge uptick in people getting out, and it's just respect, like love thy neighbor. There's no reason to hate whenever you're out there. We're all in it for the same reason. That's to enjoy the hills. So.
Oh, exactly. And I mean, when you're going out there, it's like, if you're bringing beer out there, cool, have a couple on the trail. Just make sure,
you're packing it out.
You got a plastic bag to throw all those cans in, because cooler doesn't, it doesn't go from cooler to mouth to ground. All right.
Yeah.
Make sure you're picking up out there. Just going with parents who were UTVers all the time growing up. I mean, yeah, you'd see that out all the time on the UTV trail. You just see, a couple Bud Light cans here, you have a little plastic bag here. And it's like, not only are animals getting into that, but it's just affecting the environment in a million different ways.
You don't want to go out and see trash everywhere when you're out, and then that outdoors kind of just like it kills that vibe.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, you don't want to go relax and all of a sudden it's like boom, consumerism.
But man, I really want to Bud Light now.
Yeah. Fuck, now I want to drink. Thanks a lot, litterers. Actually, if that's all it takes, maybe you need to be seeing a meeting.
I was fly fishing in Rapid Creek one day, and I've got it on my Snapchat. We're out there, and Mitchell's like, "What's that in the water?" And I turn around, and someone hid beer in the creek to keep it cold. I had some creek beers, and it was nice, and I made sure to pack them out. So I feel bad for whoever left them there, but
listen, beer is
free game.
Beer is the people's drink, all right?
Yeah.
It's communism at its finest right there. This isn't your beer, sir. This is our beer.
This is our beer.
This is our beer. Well, I think we spent a lot of time on Jeeps in the Black Hills.
Yeah.
Kind of before we wrap up, I do want to tie a ribbon back, kind of on the whole you and Kasha thing.
Yeah.
Because we do have maybe some women who check this out, and I feel like that is probably one of the better love stories I have ever heard. Just
love story.
You guys are. You guys are.
Story.
Come on now. I mean, as much as she's probably going to hate me, because from everything you have told me, like she is,
she's an amazing woman.
She's an amazing woman, but Ty is the sensitive bitch of the relationship.
All right. It's definitely a culture thing. Europe 100%. Is way different when it comes to feelings, because they still require military time when you turn 18. So like the men are a lot more like keep those feelings bundled up kind of thing, and they don't talk about it as much. But in the end, we've done a lot together. We've been to Alaska together. I've gotten to see the most beautiful sunset in the world with the most beautiful woman I've ever met next to my mother. That's a whole nother story though. My mom is an amazing woman. And I'm very glad she was the person she was. Because of her, she set the example of the kind of woman I should be with, and someone who's very passionate and cares about the things you do and wants to be a part of your life. And so getting to find someone like that has been just absolutely crazy. I've been going crazy waiting for Kasha, but we've got so many memories together. I can't count them. Like she's the reason the Jeep is named Judith, and it's been a big part of our relationship is just getting out and exploring. So,
well, and I mean that with all respect. I'm anxious to meet Kasha because I'm like, I feel like I would absolutely love who she is, because there's just sometimes where Ty's just like talking to me and he's like, yeah, and so
she put me in my place.
I'm like, she's like, yeah, she put me in her place. I'm like, damn fucking straight she did. I'm like, I need to meet this girl. I'm like, I like her. But also at the same time, just, kind of just seeing and hearing about the connection. I haven't even actually seen it in person, but I've heard you guys talk a little bit, obviously just sitting next to you, but I mean, just the way you talk about her, I think that's probably where I'm at, is because being the sensitive, more sentimental type myself, like I wish I had something like that, or like, idealize a situation like that. And I think a lot of people do.
Yeah.
And so I guess for all the guys out there, to grab yourself a amazingly attractive foreign woman of your dreams, what are some top 3 Ty Brown tips?
Oh no.
Top 3 Ty Brown tips. Like what do you do? Because I can tell you what you do right. But what do you think? And this is something he was not ready for.
No,
this is something I didn't
wasn't.
even think about until 30 seconds ago. 3 things that you think you did right in the
My
relationship,
God.
and we will play this back and we'll see how she feels about it. But
and
what 3 things you
man.
did to get her to fall in
I'm
love with you?
awkward as hell, and I'm very oblivious, and so I'm like, even to this day, I'm like, how did I pull this off? How are her and I together? But I will, like, honest to God, like, I've been myself. I have not wanted to be like, everybody has like that customer voice, and we're like onions. We all have these layers. We've got the layer that we are when we're around friends. We have the layer we are around our significant others, and we have the layer we are when we're by ourselves. And that's just the human nature. That's how it is. And it's just trying to be as close to that layer of who you are when you're by yourself as possible. Now, it's not going to happen. I mean, it's not this natural thing, but it's communicating. Once we started liking each other, and like I knew there was something there, like I made sure to let her know. And obviously, like after that first year, she had to go back. We did split up for a little bit of time because we didn't know if she was coming back. But as soon as we were both agreed, like, hey, there's something here, and like she was coming back to Custer, I was like, I gotta go back. I have to be there. I have to see her again. And so I guess God, she's actually gonna appreciate this, because now I have to acknowledge it. The things she tells me all the time, and I never acknowledge it. I feel like I do a really good job of compromising. It's something that I've been trying to work on. I understand that if we go out and we're in the hills all day and we're nasty, dusty, dirty by the end of the day, next weekend, you better believe we're going to be sitting in playing video games or going to a movie or going out to dinner. And then the weekend after that, we can go do my stuff again. Maybe go fly fishing and camping. And the weekend after that, we're going to be going getting a hotel at like Alex Johnson, going out for a nice dinner or something. Just making sure there's balance and understanding. We're all so quick to just be like, I'm right. I'm the one that's right. And that is something I'm really guilty of. And it's just being ready to take a step back and look like, am I right? Am I the one that's, is my view on this a little skewed because I want to tell myself I'm the one that's right? And that's something, obviously, like I think everybody could work on. And the third one, God, maybe I've just got this handsome face and demeanor about myself.
You're sexy as
so
fuck.
Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure she would say things differently, but
Yeah. You're like the lumberjack fantasy that every country girl has.
Yeah, with like noodle arms.
Okay. Maybe instead of wearing a cutoff flannel, you're just in a pair of cargo pants and a vest. But you know what?
Yeah.
There's some weeb girl out there who's just like just loves her just a skinny piece. There is one girl out there. She's in Poland right now, and she loves her a skinny piece of Ty Brown.
Oh yeah, she's found who she wanted to be with. So.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That was a really tough question. Why'd you have to ask that?
Because I have women who I want to turn into this show, like my mom and her friends, and hopefully some people around my age. But so far the audience is going to be the Bible study group. So yeah, I'm just totally kidding. Totally. But no, I don't know. I just kind of, once again, it's just something that we have talked about a lot, because a huge part of our friendship has been just, us kind of venting to each other.
Yeah.
Because throughout a bunch of different issues I've gone through, and this isn't my interview, this is yours. So I just kind of want to go over, the things that we've talked about, because, I kind of saw the entire process of the immigration ban and waiting for you guys to get your, that K-1 visa that you so need. And then obviously kind of going into that COVID and all the travel bans and travel restrictions and so on and so forth, and just pretty much all of these hoops that you guys have had to try to go through, all of the frustrations from your end, from her end, the disagreements, the you being a dick, and her putting up with it, the her being a little frustrated and you overreacting, and then her still accepting you because she's the better one here.
Oh yeah.
But I guess what were your kind of outside influences when we talk about what helps you when you can't actually sit there and verbalize with your partner face to face? Like, what
Yeah.
helped you kind of get through this entire time of just working it out with Kosh?
So I'll be honest, like I work with a bunch of people that are, they're not old. They're closer to my parents. age.
Experienced.
Yeah, much more experience. And so listening to everything that they have to say when it comes to their significant others and the things they're going through, I've been able to listen and learn a lot, and like things that, hey, this isn't how you should be, or these are some things to keep in mind. Like if you really love that person, you need to put forth that extra effort, and things such as that. And like I've gotten to learn a lot just by listening. I don't think a lot of those guys understand, like whenever they're venting about their days and things they're going through, I am listening. And not only am I like, I don't have the world's greatest advice, but I like to listen to hear like, hey, this is how this person's navigating it. And this is how, like, this is what's working for them. This is what's not. Like, it's provided me with a lot of life experience. And that's something I learned relatively young. Like whenever I was living in St. Louis, like listen to the things people's life experience, because they've experienced things that I haven't. So learn from everybody is kind of something that I've taken from all that. And so being able to apply that to what her and I, like being so far apart, communication has been the biggest thing. And if it wasn't for like apps such as WhatsApp and we use Discord and Skype through that a lot, like it's been nice to have some form of communication. We haven't been having to send pigeons across the ocean or anything like that. So that's been probably the most important part. And the only big aspect I think that's helped us through this is communication. All this paperwork she does a really good job with, because like she's had to file paperwork like this since she started coming to the States for visas. For me, this was my first time and I was so frustrated. And she kind of thought it was funny because she's like, I've had to do so much of stuff like this. It's not even funny. I'm over here like just beyond frustrated, coming into work like, oh, this paperwork is BS. And she's just like, oh, that's nothing. You need to make sure you fill this, this, and this. And I'm like, all right, I guess I'll screw me, I guess. Fuck me.
Well, behind every successful man is the real reason that he's successful, and that's the woman. And so I feel like, and I joke with you enough, obviously every couple's 50-50. You bring, a lot to the table too, but, it's kind of nice that you kind of can have someone, because I would be in the same situation. And I used to write college papers for people, but God, if you had to have me type out for the love of my life and for the life of me an essay of why we should be together, I'd freak the fuck out. I'd just be like, I don't even know how to do this.
Man, that's like the easy part is like, I just look back at all of the
that would kill
experiences. No, we've been on so many adventures, and I always go back to adventures just because we've had a lot of them. That little yellow Jeep has taken us so many places. And then when it comes to just hiking and the experiences we've had with each other, and going out to Alaska and enjoying our time there, and just we've got a lot. And my biggest and most favorite memories of going to Poland and like getting to see her and experience what life is like for her. I guess it's not so different. It was very frustrating because I know very poor Polish, and the only things I know are really inappropriate, or like Zanqui, which is just thank you. I hope.
I don't know. Give me one of the dirty Polish verses. You don't have to say what it means, but just say one.
Yemsipka.
No, Yemsipka. Oh, I know what that means. I know what that means.
And so, like, that's all I know. And so, a really cool experience I had was we were at their apartment, her mom and dad's apartment, and like her aunts and uncles and grandma and like great grandma, they all came over. Like just so many family members in this apartment. And everybody's like trying to talk, and Kasha's doing everything she can to like translate. And like, there's the occasional, no, I'm not asking that question. Like, just, it was really cool. And I guess it was an experience that I never, again, the kid from Philo, Illinois, 800 people, I never thought I'd be experiencing that. So it's been an absolute blast. And I think her and I have had just this awesome relationship. Again, we've had our ups and downs, and we've learned a lot about each other. I think each of us have learned a lot about ourselves through it. And I think we're doing a good job of growing together. And it's difficult, again, her being so far away. And that's why communication has been so important for us. because even though she hasn't been here for almost a year and 4 months, we've still gotten to grow through this time period in our lives together. And that's something that I'm really proud of when it comes to us, because that takes a lot of work, because there's some people that can't even grow together when they're with each other 24/7. They live with each other, and or they've been dating that 5, 6, 7 years, but they grow to be these separate people because they're not willing to work with one another and understand that we're in this together. If you want to have like my grandfather was a very big, if it's broken, fix it, don't buy a new one. You can fix it. And so that's, I guess, the aspect I came into life having is, just because it might be the same watch you've had for so many years, I'm sure you can figure something out to fix that one little busted band, or get that new battery put in, or fix that one broken arm, tweaked arm on it. So it's something that I've gotten to carry into this, to understand that if we want to make it work, we need to be able to communicate. We need to be able to talk to each other. And again, I have to put it out there that with where we've gotten to work, and I guess just hearing the different types of experiences people are having with their everyday lives and relationships has made me realize like how important communication is when it comes to a relationship.
Oh, 100%. And I think when I look at your guys' relationship, it's probably one of the ones that, I see it, and not obviously probably having any expertise at all, because
I don't have any expertise. But
I beg to differ, but I mean, even so, just looking at it, I see the work you guys have put in, the love that happens from thousands of miles away, and it's hard to imagine that doesn't work out, a lot better in a marriage, like you said, because there's people, especially here in the States, or even in this culture nowadays. I mean, God, there's people who get together really quick, and not judging on the bond, you can fall in love in 2 months, you can fall in love after 3 years. I feel like you guys are laying the pillars and the groundwork for a successful relationship in the long run, because God, this almost has to be harder than nearly anything you guys can deal with when you're together.
Yeah. And we just talked about that if we can make it through this, with like how it's been, there's no reason we're going to have anything that stops us in the long run. It's definitely been a humbling experience. It's made me realize, and appreciate who she is that much more. Again, we are two different people. It's not like we're this ultimate, match made in heaven. We're two different people with two different hobbies, but we still enjoy doing each other's hobbies together, because it's something that we find joy in, seeing the other person happy. Like, I love seeing her get all excited about the things she enjoys doing, like League and stuff like that. Granted, I tried to teach myself how to play, and I cannot play it at all. But you better believe I'm trying to learn to sit down for more than 20 minutes and play video games. That way, whenever she is back, we can sit down and have nights dedicated just to what she wants to do. And some of my favorite memories, the first time I got the Jeep, like super, super swamped stock, water halfway up the doors. I get home from work the next day, I pulled the whole interior out, and it was just trash. There's mud everywhere. Came home from work, and she had stayed like almost her whole day off cleaning the inside, because she knew how much it meant to me. And that was kind of the moment I was like, holy shit, I think I'm going to marry her. Because not because she was cleaning like some 80s bikini car wash scene. Like, I came home and she had just stayed like all day cleaning the inside of the Jeep, all the mud out, because she understood like, hey, this means a lot to him. And she went that extra mile to show like she cared. She cared about the things that makes me happy. And that is huge, is putting forth that extra effort. I think too many people get caught up of, I need to be this big macho, I can do anything and everything, and just show the real you. To let that guard down. Like, yeah, sometimes we love and lose, but that's life. Tomorrow's a new day, and you're gonna wake up, and you just got to keep on jeeping on.
Keep on jeeping on. But just admit, there is a 5% part that got home, and you're just like, oh my God, I think I love her. I think I'm gonna marry her. She cleaned my Jeep, but fuck, that's odd. Yeah. There was a part of you that was like, thanks for cleaning my Jeep, babe.
I've embarrassed her.
5% part.
Yeah, 5% part.
5%.
But
you're still a man at the end of the day. Toxic masculinity aside, the stereotype exists for a reason. All right, men.
Oh yeah,
part of us are. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's been a roller coaster. That's for sure. But I'm just glad that I've had her by my side, and I don't think I could ever think of anybody else in the world that I'd ever want to be doing this with. So, it's been a good experience, even though it's absolutely sucked her being so far away. But it's crazy for me to look at our relationship and realize we have been growing together even while being so far apart. That is absolutely just something I still can't really wrap my mind around, is that we've been able to do this. We're not, I wouldn't say thriving, but we are learning who we are together still. And we're still making this work after a year and 4 months apart. So it's been a good experience, and I'm really proud of how far we've come in this relationship. So,
hell yeah. To be honest, man, I'm going to go ahead and let you leave a little bit there. We're going to go ahead and wrap this one up. I'll give you the final words. I'm going to give you a personal message to send to Kasha. I'll give you the last probably 30 seconds on the mic to do that. But we're just going to end out on my end here with Beers and Bullshit. Just want to thank once again to Top Wave Studios, for the production, the mixing, mastering, editing. If you guys need someone who's just going to ball out, work hard for you, give Paul Wolf or Top Wave Studios a message on Facebook. He's going to be here all the time. Young kid who is just grinding out there as well. We just do want to also shout out Paulie G, Ether, aka Ethan, and Bob with the Business Entertainment here in town, running karaoke at Cheers Bar, Joe's, number of locations, 445. Absolutely grinders, and really the guys above this who make Top Wave possible. Huge friends of the show as well. Shouting out Judith, the Jeep channel.
Heck yeah.
Check her out on YouTube, Teddy Sports Bar and Grill downtown. And that's going to be it for the podcast. But Ty, I'm going to leave this off here. I don't want you to talk to the people. I want you to talk to Kosh right here. You got the last little bit on the mic. Man. Just a little message to send after your 16 months apart. What is something you want to say to your love of your life?
Oh, you really put me on the spot, because I just told her that, maybe a couple hours ago. She's already asleep by now. But
that's fine.
I do have to get out and just let her know how proud of us I am. It's something, again, that looking at a lot of relationships I've seen from just my peers, and we've been able to get through this and still come out on top and learn about each other and become closer through this, being 16 months without seeing each other. It's something I'm extremely proud of, and I absolutely miss you and I love you. I don't think I could be doing this with anybody else, and I just want you to know that whenever you get back, I'll make sure that we stay in. I got Starbucks waiting for you, and we're playing some games before I load you up in the Jeep. So, but I also want to give a big shout out to a lot of my friends and my family back home. I don't think I would be out here chasing my dreams if it wasn't for the sacrifices my parents have made and trying to teach me the lessons I needed to have going out. I was definitely, living in different areas and falling in with some different crowds. I was faced with a lot of different things and struggles, and my parents were definitely there in the years growing up, teaching me the things I needed to learn and understand. And at the time, I thought they were just the most strict parents ever, but it all came full circle. And I want you guys to know how much I appreciate everything you guys have taught me. And same with my friends back home. For real, you guys have given me the tools to come out here and once again chase my dream. So shout out to George, Caleb, two-wheel drive Caleb, my mom and dad. And it's definitely been a trip, but thank you guys for always being there for me. I know you're all one phone call away.